Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new episode of Southern Woke. I'm Kalen.
And I'm Marina. And today we're talking about a conspiracy theory / philosophical hypothesis that we've avoided since we began this podcast, mostly because I'm terrified of it.
I've wanted to talk about this so many times, and Marina has been so against it.
Yeah, I shut them down every single time and just tell them we'll do it later. And I guess a few weeks ago, I decided it's time to conquer it and just get it out the way. We're talking about the simulation theory today and all the reasons people believe this theory could possibly be true.
I love to think about it, and I hate to think about it at the exact same time. There's like no way to really disprove this one, except to just hope that it's not real.
Yeah, and I think my problem is I just watch so much Marvel and the multiverse and all of that type of shit.
I think the thing that makes it even more believable to me is that like people like Elon Musk even believe this. Like some of the greatest minds of our time are saying like, oh, this is 100% real.
Yeah, and I don't like that one bit. So this theory that's actually technically a hypothesis has been pondered about since Plato. It proposes that our reality is a highly advanced simulation created by some other more advanced civilization. So like imagine you're playing Sims and you're controlling what your person is doing. But then imagine a more advanced intelligent being is actually controlling you, controlling the Sims. And everything you're doing in your own life is being controlled by this person as well. Like, it's a trippy thought. It like a computer inside of a computer inside of a computer. And we're just caught up in it.
And you know what? If you're a little bit confused, that's okay, because they're going to explain this way better than we possibly could.
The hypothesis states that our reality is merely a simulation, something like the Matrix where everything is code in some type of computer.
A real one.
Elon Musk is one of the best known proponents of the hypothesis, giving the odds of us being in base reality at 1 billion. But he's not the only one who gives the idea serious thought. There are reportedly 2 tech billionaires already working on a way to break us out of the simulation. Ooh. It's a hypothesis that isn't easily knocked down. If advanced civilizations are able and willing to run such simulations and run huge numbers of them, the result would be more simulated minds than real minds. In other words, most minds would belong to one of the simulated realities. There's some physical evidence in favor of the hypothesis too. For one, at the quantum level, phenomena exist in a superposition of different states until measured, what's known as the observer effect. It's been argued that this could be a way to save memory or processing power, rendering reality only when it's observed. Our DNA, too, is eerily similar to computer code. In fact, in 2017, a team of researchers at the University of Washington embedded actual computer code in a physical strand of DNA. For some, the simulation hypothesis is also a more satisfactory explanation for so-called supernatural activity, as it can be put down to glitches in the program. Ghosts, for example, could be representations of past lives that accidentally become visible.
It's kind of like, how does the saying go if a bear shits in the woods and nobody's around to hear it?
That's
Wait.
if a tree falls in the woods. What the
Wait, there's
fuck, you
something about
got
a bear shitting in that at the same
I've
type of
never
thing
heard
as well.
anything of that.
I don't think I'm tripping right now.
I don't know,
Okay.
but I've never heard it.
Anyway, the tree falling thing in the woods and nobody's around to hear it. Well, that's kind of what they're saying. Like, whatever you don't see isn't actually there because it's not like rendered in to save like processing power. That's a weird thing to think about.
Yeah, and of course, my biggest takeaway from that is that it could explain ghosts.
Yes.
But also, I don't know how that would make sense. But I mean, ghosts don't make sense in the first place.
I feel like it could explain like anything because then like there's other people like controlling our life and anything could happen because nothing's real.
Okay, so say we are in a simulation, then what would be controlling us?
I mean, maybe like there was a life form and they got really intelligent and smart over the years. And then they decided to just try this out and make a simulation. And it kind of turned into Earth. And now they've just been watching us. I like how they said that it's like our DNA is super similar to computer code. So like,
I don't like that either.
I don't know. What if like yeah, that's super weird in the first place. But like, what if like, if you believe that there is like a creator, what if like creating the world wasn't like some like magic thing? What if it was like computer code, like writing like us into existence? And the big flash of light that like you see is like life was just like it turning on. I just pulled that out of my head. That was good.
Yeah, I guess. Okay, well, there's a New York University philosophy professor named David Chalmers that says that the simulation programmer potentially responsible for this simulation could be one of three things. It could be a programmer in the next universe up. Perhaps one of us mortals might consider a god of some sort, but not necessarily in the traditional sense. Or they may just be a teenager hacking on a computer and running 5 universes in the background. It also might be someone who is all-knowing and all-powerful about our world. So that's a philosopher's guesses, which are basically the same as ours, minus the teenager in their like mother's basement just running this whole fucking planet. That's a little bit absurd.
That's my least favorite.
So my next question to ponder is, actually, do we even know what reality is? So this guy Rizwan Virk, a tech entrepreneur and author of the simulation hypothesis, says, simply because we perceive the world as real and material doesn't make it so. In fact, the findings of quantum physics may shed some doubt on the fact that the material universe is real. The more that scientists look for the material in this material world, the more they find that it doesn't exist. Even the definition of a particle in physics is kind of fuzzy and may in fact just be a quantum computing bit. That's a part that really messes with my head. The fact that they're comparing like particles to like computing bits. The biggest problem I think I have with the simulation theory is that if it's true, then like my whole love of science, it's like, what is science? It's literally a computer code. And I hate that.
But maybe science is just understanding the code. And we were just thrown into this world with no knowledge of anything, and we've slowly learned the code over all these years, and now we understand it so well, we're doing all these crazy things with it. And then eventually science is going to crack the code and get us out of the simulation. I feel like that was encouraging.
It made my head spin. That's what it was. So John Wheeler, who is a renowned physicist who worked with Albert Einstein decades ago, said that in his own lifetime, physics has evolved from the premise that everything is a particle to everything is information. And what are computer bits? It's information. So he's literally comparing like science to computers now. I don't like it. He also coined a phrase that's well known in scientific circles, it from bit, meaning everything is based on information. Okay, so since we're talking about what all these other people think, let's hear Elon Musk's thoughts on simulation theory, since he is regarded as one of the most intelligent people of our time currently. Although some people I think would say I'm stupid for saying that.
There's a sort of a philosophic concept that a sufficiently advanced civilization will be able to create a simulation. Yeah, maybe you've answered this before. A simulation.
I've had so many simulation discussions; it's crazy.
Okay, so because
in fact, it got to the point where basically every conversation was the AI/simulation conversation, and my brother and I finally agreed that we would ban such conversations if we were ever in a hot tub. Okay. That was like. Because that really kills the magic. Tub,
so the idea is right. Any sufficiently advanced civilization could create a simulation that's like our existence, and so the theory follows that maybe we're in the simulation. Have you thought about this? And
a lot.
Are we? Are we
Even in
I
hot
need
tubs,
to know,
so
are
much
we
so
in
it
a
had to be banned from a
simulation?
hot tub.
Like, get the point, dude.
Not the sexiest conversation.
Are we in? Are we in?
I mean, I think here's, in my mind, like the strongest argument for us being in a simulation, probably being in a simulation, I think is the following. That 40 years ago, we had Pong, like 2 rectangles and a dot. That
Right.
was what games were. Now, 40 years later, we have photorealistic 3D simulations with millions of people playing simultaneously, and it's getting better every year. And soon we'll have virtual reality, augmented reality. If you assume any rate of improvement at all, then the games will become indistinguishable from reality, just indistinguishable. Even if that rate of advancement drops by 1,000 from what it is right now, then you just say, okay, well, let's imagine it's at 10,000 years in the future, which is nothing in the evolutionary scale. So given that we're clearly on a trajectory to have games that are indistinguishable from reality, and those games could be played on any set-top box or on a PC or whatever, and there would probably be, billions of such, computers or set-top boxes, it would seem to follow that the odds that we're in base reality is 1 in billions.
Mic drop. But he's pretty confident that it's 1 in billions, sir.
That really is like so true though. Like think about it. So like technology and like the internet and all that came around like in our lifetime, and it was so primitive, and like the way cell phones were, and like Pong was the first game, which was just pixels moving, and now we're literally putting on goggles and walking around in like simulated realities and talking to people. And like anytime I put my VR on, it is the most mind-blowing thing. Like it's one of my favorite things to do is to show my friends my VR, because like it is like different from anything I've ever felt in my life, because it's just so crazy real feeling. And that happened in like a span of like 20 years. So imagine like 300 years down the road, it only makes sense that like we could build realities that are indistinguishable from reality. So like I completely understand that.
So there was this guy who stated what he thought would happen if we indeed did find out we were living in a simulation. His name is Preston Green, and he's a philosophy professor. And he said that he thinks we could be living in a simulation right now, but if we proved it, it would be catastrophic. Present-day researchers can use simulations to create scenarios to aid scientific studies. So how crazy is the idea that our world could be the simulated experiment of future humans? And just as scientists can terminate simulations when they no longer provide useful data, our hypothetical simulators could pull the plug on us at any time without warning. But he said it would be a quick and painless death. So if our physicists did use experiments to prove that we live in a simulation, and they told everyone about it, and it has a large effect on how our civilization behaves, then our simulation would no longer be useful for answering questions about our reality, which contains the computers doing the simulations. This is because such experiments could never happen on the base level. So even though there are many possibilities for how our simulators would react to our using experiments to prove that we live in a simulation, simulation shutdown is worth taking at least as seriously as anything else, since it is supported by observed trends in simulation science today. Does it make sense?
I don't know how we would break it, but yes, that does make sense. But why do I also feel like that's almost less scary than just like the fact of the complete unknown? Like at any point a meteor could just strike us, or we could just get nuked and like everything's over anyway. So like a random person pulling the plug on like the simulation doesn't, I don't know. I feel like it doesn't scare me any more so than what could already happen.
Philosophers are really bad at philosophizing.
That's a word.
I think this whole episode is just turning my brain into mush. So
Are you gonna have like an existential crisis after this episode?
honestly, after this episode, I'm just gonna try to forget all about it as if this is a traumatic event.
Yeah, that's probably smart.
So some arguments for the simulation theory, or I should say arguments against the simulation theory, is that some experts question why a higher species would even bother with learning about us dumb humans. Why would they pick us for whatever experiment they're conducting? If it is an experiment, I guess.
What if like when you die, reincarnation is just like your information being like rebooted into another person? Or what if like the afterlife is like it's like a different server you get transferred to, and like when you're banned you go to hell?
That actually clicked in my brain, like it made pretty good sense.
Like you've been being bad in reality, like the game makers are like, you're banned, you're going to hell.
And then like the people that remember their past lives, it's just like a glitch in the coding.
Yeah, like
Didn't,
they're
like,
seeing
fully
some of their
wipe.
past code. Yep.
Oh my god.
Do you have anything about like deja vu and stuff in here?
Mm-hmm.
I think we should
Yep.
like talk about that right now. So
Okay.
what if deja vu is just also like glitches in the code and like, because if you're thinking this is like a simulation, then everything's already pre-planned. So like everything has basically already happened, I guess, because it's already been written out and we're just kind of like living through it as if you're watching like a timeline of a movie, but like the end of the movie's already there. So like, what if it's just like buffering in like reality, or like it skips a little part, or like maybe you've seen that before or something like that?
Yeah. I actually have a video for us to watch that explains the simulation theory and how like the Mandela effect and deja vu ties into it.
One way other realities blend into ours could be the Mandela effect. The Mandela effect is when a large number of people have memories of events that don't match reality. This is called the Mandela effect because millions of people specifically remember Nelson Mandela died in prison. He didn't. People remember his wife walking beside his casket in a funeral procession that was on television for 2 hours that day. This never happened. Or the Berenstain Bears, which people insist were always called the Berenstein Bears.
They were all
People
dying in
remember
hell.
the tycoon from Monopoly having a monocle that he never had. What was Darth Vader
That one
famous
trips
for
me
saying?
I am your father.
Nope, he never said that.
What?
What about Stouffer's stovetop stuffing?
Best part of Thanksgiving.
No, it isn't, because there's no such product. Stovetop is made by Kraft.
No.
The evil queen from Snow White who looked into her mirror and said,
Mirror, mirror on the wall.
nope.
Magic mirror on the wall. Who is the fairest one of all?
My reality is shattered.
People remember Febreze being spelled with 2 E's. People remember Jiffy peanut butter, but there's no such thing. And there are a lot more. A lot more. Personally, I don't have most of these false memories, but there are a few that get me. The Flintstones. There are 2 T's in the Flintstones. I remember just one. And what about the Fruit of the Loom logo? I could swear it looks like this, but it doesn't. This is the actual logo. No cornucopia.
Corny what now?
Basket.
Then just say basket for crying out loud.
And at the end of Moonraker, a terrible but excellent James Bond movie, I remember Jaws' girlfriend as having braces. I mean, I specifically remember it. She didn't have braces. I just can't get my brain to accept it. That's the Mandela effect. So why do millions of people distinctly remember different things?
Glitch in a simulation.
Yep. Philip K. Dick also felt when we experienced deja vu is because something in our simulated universe changed and a new timeline branched off of the current one.
We are living in a computer programmed reality, and the only clue we have to it is when some variable is changed.
Ever feel like you've lived a moment before? That's because, according to Philip K. Dick and others, you have. Deja vu is the simulation correcting itself with new information.
It definitely, like, if the simulation is real, It totally would explain why Mandela effects and deja vu happen.
The Mandela effect is so weird for me to think about because every single one of those got me. Literally every single one. Like, there was another one that I remember looking at a while back about like the Pillsbury Doughboy and like how everybody thinks he has like a blue tie on, but it's not actually blue. It's like white.
Yeah. Definitely, like, the first Mandela effect I ever was like, no freaking way, was the mirror on the wall. Because, like, we say that all the time.
Yeah, or Luke, I am your father. Like, that is so huge. And that's not even what he says. Like, it's so weird.
Yeah.
And then Berenstein Bears. I used to watch that all the time growing up.
Yeah, not me. I always just roll my eyes at that one. I'm just like, I never knew it either way, so. Also, like, other supernatural things that could be explained by the simulation theory, like I said earlier, are ghosts. What if psychics, like, their visions that they see, they have some kind of, like, whoever programmed it, like, programmed for them, like, only these specific people to be able to have these abilities. And then we just have psychics. And then, like, astral projecting. It's just like, what if all of these things could just be explained simply by the fact that, well, we're living in a simulation, so anything can go, really.
Yeah. Because, like, if you believe that, then, like, literally nothing, like, makes sense anymore. Like, it's all explained by just saying, oh, it's because the game makers did that for whatever reason they chose.
And, like, all those weird places on Earth where people are like, ooh, if you go to this place, then, like, physics aren't real. Like, the gravity laws are just defied in this one place. And, like, if you go into this room, you, like, start walking upside down. Like, weird ass shit like that. Like, it's just glitches in our simulation.
Excuse me? If you go into this room, you start walking upside down? What?
I don't know. I've seen some crazy videos out there, but it's been so long that I don't remember if it's, like, a real thing. Didn't you say, like, not too long ago, you asked me if I watched Don't Worry, Darling?
Yes.
What if it's like that? Like, our body is, like, somewhere else, and they uploaded our brains, and that's how we're capable of feeling.
True. What if they did it, like, to save us all? Because, like, our Earth was, like, dying, and this is the only way it would be okay. And that's why we just keep reincarnating and living life out over and over and over again in this simulation. I feel like I'm, like, okay with that.
Yeah. Sure. But I don't know about you, but if I talk about this shit anymore, I'm going to spiral.
Yeah, I think that's enough of talking about simulation theory for today.
Thank you. I hope you followed along pretty well through our just, like, mouth vomit, word vomit. Because that's all I feel like we did, because there's just so much.
I don't know, I have a feeling that the people listening are probably as speechless about this as we are.
Then we would have done our job.
But you know what? We won't know unless y'all let us. So make sure that y'all follow us on Instagram, Twitter. We have a Facebook. Reach out to us. We love hearing from y'all. Some of y'all have been reaching out to us more lately, and it means the world to us. So we'd love to hear from more of y'all.
Yep. And like we mentioned at the beginning, please go over and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We really want to hit that milestone 1,000 mark. It would just feel so great. And to build a family, I would love it.
A So-Wo family.
Sure.
Can we set like a goal? Like if we ever hit 1 million subscribers, we'll start like making like So-Wo merch.
I want
to get you on video right now saying this, that if we hit 1 million subscribers, we can start having So-Wo merch.
Yes, but hopefully we can do it before then.
That's all I needed.
I want it. All right, y'all. We will talk to y'all next week with another episode.
All right, take it easy. Bye, y'all.
Bye.